Okay, you keep saying they. Was this created by some people?
Well, I will only tell you what I know. I can't talk about something that I don't know. And I think this is where we get into a problem because people start talking about what they think. And I'm just presenting facts here. So who they are, I can't tell you who they are, but I can tell you where the crumbs lie. And then people can then follow the crumbs and decide what they want to decide. But when I say they, it starts with, and let's go back to when this research was done. So the story is very, very simple. In 2014, the United States government made a decision based upon protests by many, many scientists, virologists, that some of the research that was being done, chimeric research or gain of function research, and I'll explain what that means in a second, is not something that should be done because of the potential for pandemic and the potential for mass loss of life. Now, chimeric research or gain of function research is to take something that's naturally occurring and then you change it, morphologically adjust it, chimerically manipulate it, which basically means taking components of the DNA and RNA and manipulating it, basically making a mutant form out of it, making a Frankenstein out of it, taking different parts and putting it together and creating something with the intention to make it more functional. That's why they call it gain of function studies. Now, you and I, and any logical person would say, why in the world would we take something that's naturally occurring and make it more damaging, more dangerous, more virulent, more resistant? Well, the excuse is because we need to study these gain of functions so that we can now assess, once we make them stronger, then we can assess which one is most detrimental so we can then prioritize which one we need to worry about, which is the most ludicrous component. It's like saying, well, I got a spark here, but what I want to do is cause a fire first, cause mass destruction so I can decide which type of spark that'll cause the fire will be the worst type of fire so we can prioritize against it. It is the most asinine, most ignorant, and here's the thing, highly, highly suspect. If I were to use my own free words, it's criminal and it's with the potential of creating genocide. There's a much sinister agenda here. So let's come back to this chimeric research. In 2014, finally, the US government agreed and said there is now a moratorium on any type of chimeric research. Well, in 2015, I'm not sure exactly how this happened, but Dr. Fauci in 2015, the following year, having a very high directorship at the National Institute of Health, funded a different country, China, to continue this chimeric research by basically taking $3.7 million of US taxpayer money and sending it to China. But the sad thing is that we actually started this chimeric process and it was published in Nature magazine at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And the people that were involved with that predominantly were from North Carolina, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, but there were some doctors involved there from Harvard, from Sweden, and also from Wuhan. Well, Dr. Shi from Wuhan then left North Carolina and went to China. And when the first coronavirus case was reported in December of 2019, and she came out with a paper in 2020 and said, we believe that this has been something that was elucidated from bats. Well, she knows the truth. The original coronavirus that they were manipulating was so resistant to human culture. When they put it into human cell lines, it wouldn't culture. So they had to manipulate it to be able to survive or to be able to sustain itself. So the naturally occurring coronavirus from the bats that they took, the human cell media culture, it just wasn't viable for it. And actually all these different components, they don't jump from an animal to a human naturally. That's not how the creator designed them. But we as humans go in and muck around everything that humans touch. We screw it up. We're the cause of all the the climate change that is being blamed. I mean, forget about climate change for a second. We are cause of extinction. We are cause of the loss of the lungs of the planet, the indiscriminate cutting down of trees all over the world. We basically screw everything up. Well, here is another example. We go in there, we start mucking around with things that we don't understand, and they're doing it for a certain reason. Why would you want to manipulate a virus that's naturally occurring to make it more virulent, make it more resistant, make it more damaging, and go against a government moratorium after virologists throughout the world had protested that this type of research should not be done? There's no function to it. It does not serve mankind. It only has a potential of hurting mankind.